Streamlining our online reading list is not easy, and it can so quickly become overwhelming. We have feeds and websites, bookmarked things, and people's accounts that we like to follow, and there's just a volume of information coming everywhere. Often you can find that you'll spend an hour reading stuff online and actually you've not got through what you wanted to get through and you've been easily distracted. And that's because most of us don't streamline our feed as well as we can. So here are my 3 tips on how to streamline your online reading feed to avoid overwhelm. We tend to make it worse for ourselves because over time our reading list just gets bigger and bigger. So we follow more and more people and the feed gets bigger. We also don't filter out the noise, so we end up having stuff that's interesting but mixed amongst loads of stuff that is not actually relevant to us. Also, we just subscribe to more things over time. So as well as the list building up, we subscribe to more things, we've got more sources coming in, and we're not filtering it properly. So by curating our feeds well and streamlining things, we can ensure that when we come to do our online reading, we're going to be spending that time reading things that are more focused or more relevant to us. Using Twitter lists is so helpful and has completely changed my experience of Twitter. Essentially, if you're following more than a couple of hundred people on Twitter, your main feed is going to become unreadable because it's going to be mixed with some interesting things, but lots of stuff that is just other people retweeting stuff, and you could just spend ages scrolling through things that aren't relevant. So I actually no longer look at my main Twitter feed at all because I use Twitter lists instead. You should try Twitter lists. It will really change your Twitter experience. To use Twitter lists, you can basically create a list with people who tweet on a certain issue. So you might want one, for example, for education, you might want one for writing or growing your social media account or whatever it is you're interested in. You can create a private list. So a private list means that no one else sees it and the people who you add it don't know that you've added them to it. So you can add, say, 10 people who you want to read about how to write well online. That list you can actually pin to the top of your feed so that when you go into Twitter, you don't need to read through your main feed. You could go straight to your writing list and you will read tweets about writing. So if you've got 10 minutes, you can read about writing and you'll be able to learn from accounts that you want to follow. This is really useful to do. And the other thing to note is that these accounts, you don't actually have to follow that person, so they won't be added to your main feed. You could just add them to the list and it's like a curated feed for you to watch. I have about 9 or 10 different Twitter lists with different topics that I try to follow. I use them at different times, so I won't go in and read them all at once, but I might spend time reading the education ones or reading, I've got a feed of people who tweet funny stuff if I want some entertainment. And so you can actually manage your time better than just general browsing. It's a lot more focused. It's hugely improved the functionality of Twitter for me and my time management. Subscribe to newsletters using Instapaper. I used to think that newsletters were a waste of time. I literally would just delete them or unsubscribe to them because I didn't realize the value that they could provide. What I've realized now is that newsletters are actually the best version of curating feeds for you, because if you find newsletters that cover topics of interest to you, what you get is someone else doing the job of curating your feed for you. If I know that your newsletter is going to be on a particular topic, it's going to be stuff of interest to me because I'm interested in what you have to say, then actually I'm really looking forward to your weekly newsletter coming in. Instapaper is great because you can subscribe to newsletters using your Instapaper email address. So that means your newsletters don't come into your regular email inbox, they don't clutter up your regular email time, but they go straight to your Instapaper feed. So my Instapaper feed is literally just newsletters. That means when I have time and I want to do some reading, I can go into Instapaper and I know that I'm going to see a curated newsletter feed of some of the best content that is tailored just for me. So this is brilliant. I've started our own Bubble Up newsletter, the link I'll put underneath the video so you can subscribe, where I share some key highlights about non-clinical medicine. But there's so many good newsletters out there and Instapaper is the perfect way to do this. It's a mobile app. I've got it on my tablet, on my desktop and on my mobile phone, and I can easily flick through and read when I have time. It also lets you highlight key things and you can save these highlights for later, so that if there's particular points that grab your attention that you might want to share on social media or you might want to write about later, it's very easy to highlight and save them. Using Readwise has been a wonderful way to store my highlights because I have things that I see in Twitter things that I might see on my Kindle when I'm reading, or Instapaper, newsletter, comments that I want to save for later. And Readwise brings all of these together in one place. So you can connect up all your accounts. So you can have your Twitter highlights, your Kindle highlights, your Instapaper highlights. They'll all go to Readwise. That means if you're looking for inspiration, say you want to write something or you want to share on social media and you've run out of ideas, actually you can read through your Readwise feed of things that you've highlighted over the last however many years, and you'll be able to come up with new ideas that have resonated with you in the past. It takes not very long to set up. I'd say you could probably do it in half an hour. And once you've had Readwise set up, you'll easily be able to connect all of these apps and get going with your highlights. The great thing about all of these things tied together is that it means, firstly, you're streamlining your time. So when you've got time to read, you're not spending it wasting time browsing. You can actually have focused reading time. It also means that you can see a curated version of other people's thoughts, other people's newsletters, and pick and choose what suits you best. You can highlight key things, and using Readwise, you can then come back to that later. And it just makes such a difference to being able to generate ideas, to save ideas, and to manage time better. If you enjoyed this video, you'll like my video on how I only check my email for 15 minutes once a day, and you can watch that video here.